Something just hit me. We're a fandom for a popular game that's been around for years now, and we have no famous controversy tied to us.
'Cause it's Stardew Valley. The only person I've met that didn't like the game hated it because he couldn't get mad at it.
I think this quote might describe the game perfectly.
Because everything about it is wholesome.
Enter me. So Stardew Valley is... Do I really need to explain it? Okay, in the off chance that one of my rare viewers happens to be seeking asylum from a COD lobby, I'm gonna give you a quick rundown. Stardew Valley is a farming simulator initially made by one person, Eric Barone. In the game, you can plant and sell crops, go on adventures, and help restore a small town full of charming characters. And I truly cannot emphasize enough, it was a massive success. And with a massive success comes a massive fandom. And here is what you come to me for, kids in your mid-20s, because I have something to tell you that school does not teach you about. The physicist, Sir Isaac Newton, actually had a secret fourth law of motion that nobody talks about, and it reads as follows. The unfiltered volume of ooh-woo wholesomeness in a game is directly proportional to the ferocity of said game's unhinged connoisseurs. Or in layman's terms, the cuter the game, the more fans that are on a no-fly list. For anyone new here, hi, I'm Blake. A lot of y'all think my name is Jake. It's not, but honestly, you could call me Mary if it means you're gonna watch my stuff. Sell out queen. I did a video like this before for Animal Crossing, and I was super proud of it and had so much fun, and y'all were so nice and responsive to it, so I cannot thank you enough, but I figured the best I can do is whip that whiteboard out again, baby. Let's talk about some drama. So I asked my audience, they gave me the leads, and mama, I did the research. Originally, I did want to talk about The Sims because I thought that the EA buyout story would be like a really fun, scandalous thing to talk about, but then I looked a little bit more into the community and... I figure I could give him a break for now. But for now, it's fall, it's cozy, I've got my flannel on in an admittedly kind of slutty way, please tell me I'm hot. So I figure what better time to talk about Stardew Valley? Let's dive in, diva! I don't care, I'm starting with the big one. I know as a writer, you typically want to save your story with like the biggest global impact for later, but the problem is I am not a writer. I am a sycophant to YouTube's Big Daddy algorithm. And Big Daddy does not reward good storytelling, okay? It rewards blowing your wad in the first 5 minutes so people keep watching, so please do that. Anyway, the year is 2018. Stardew Valley has sold millions of copies already. It is in its heyday. And I imagine in my mind that Eric Barone woke up one day just like this. Oh, what a beautiful day. I'm a good person, a millionaire, a successful musician, and game maker. I have an insanely supportive wife. What could possibly go wrong? Good morning, Eric. Could we have a word with you? So a bit of explanation is in order. So there's this character in the game, Harvey. And before you ask, yes, raw next question, I'm sure you were all wondering. Harvey in the game is the town doctor, and he runs the local clinic in the town square. And up to this point, as you can see right here, the clinic did have a little red cross above the door. And because of this teeny tiny red cross, this video is no longer clickbait, it's genuine. Suck it! So there's this little teeny quirky little thing called the Geneva Conventions, which are international humanitarian laws consisting of 4 treaties and 3 additional protocols that establish international legal standards for the humanitarian treatment in war. So basically, this little book is the rules for what qualifies as a war crime. And yes, I did use Wikipedia as a source for this, but guess what, grad school? I'm not in you anymore. You can't hurt me anymore. Watch, I'll do it again! Under the Geneva Conventions, the use of the red cross with a white background is designated to be exclusively used for medical and humanitarian personnel in war. And unfortunately, this bundle of pixels, sexy as this bundle of pixels may be, hot damn, does not qualify as a wartime personnel. But there is a war happening in the Stardew Valley universe. Shh, hey, spoilers, shut up. We're getting there. Now, in Stardew Valley's defense, this does come from a long line of video games that have broken this rule, okay? Halo, RuneScape, Doom, Doom 2, they really said it's more of a Geneva suggestion. Among Us, Roblox, Subnautica. There is literally a Twitter page that was made in 2020 dedicated to documenting when these things happen in video games, and I guess it must have happened frequently enough because it has 157,000 followers. So how does this get resolved? I am so glad you asked. Hilariously. On November 19th, 2018, patch 1.3.32 is released, and the cross above Harvey's clinic is changed to a little teal color. But here's the best part. The majority of Stardew Valley fans only found out this happened because when they read the patch notes, it stated, fixed a Geneva Convention violation. There is something so profoundly camp about realizing that you accidentally broke international wartime law and just going, Oops. So like my last War Crimes video, I wanted to add a small minigame to act as a check-in between the stories. So reintroducing the game of which afterlife are the offending participators getting? And it was brought to my attention that I did find yet another way to sneak a tier list into my YouTube channel. But you know what? I like to have fun, okay? I love games. Everybody says they want Whimsy back. Well, here's your Whimsy, bitch. But I did decide to change it up just a tad, so introducing the Hell Scale. Each of the participants today will be sent to an afterlife of pain and suffering, but the question is, how much? So this scale does start at a very mild 14-day free trial hell. Think like community service for like an hour a day, like you'll live, it's fine. This middle area being your standard premium hell package, to the bottom of the barrel being bi-weekly subscription renewal plus hidden fees, super ultra mega hell. And I'll give you a quick idea of who should go where. Thieves, murderers, Nick Fuentes fans, super murderers, whoever the f decided to put 2 ads at the start of a YouTube video. May your pillow never be cold, your phone never be charged, and your panties always slightly up your crack. I'm also gonna try to be a little bit more careful about my placement this time because in my last video, it was brought to my attention that in an act of blind whimsy, I put a furry adult video in a lower section of hell than literally Osama bin Laden. I was too quirky. So anyway, to start, Geneva Convention, I think it's gonna go like at the top. Honestly, it's like a big deal on paper, but in practice, hilarious. Hello, my divas. I'd just like to take a quick second to thank the sponsor of this video, Uncommon Goods. Uncommon Goods is a curated online marketplace known for original, handmade, and meaningful gifts. They partner with independent artists and small businesses to provide a wide variety of high quality, often customizable products that stand out from traditional retail. And I said it the last time they sponsored me, but it's even more pertinent now that the holidays are fastly approaching. Mock speed, diva, mock speed. So what better time to look for something unique for your loved ones that you wouldn't find normally in your local stores? So last time I showed you the kitty measuring spoons and the kitty desk pets, and though I sadly have to give them away as a gift to my friend, I did keep something for myself. The turtle desk pets. This one's named Gabriella and the big one's named Gnarly. Hopefully you can take a guess at what I listened to, but I'm not gonna say that during an ad. Moving on. And the best part about Uncommon Goods is that for every purchase you make, they give $1 back to a non-profit partner of your choosing. At the time of recording this, they've donated over $3 million. It is giving. It's giving, end of sentence. They've sponsored me before, and I'm so grateful that Uncommon Goods decided to sponsor me again because I love their products, I love that they give to nonprofits, and I love that it supports small businesses. Just like wins all around, honestly. And they love us right back. Visit Uncommon Goods using the link in my description to get 15% off your next gift. Thank you again so much to Uncommon Goods for sponsoring this channel. Now let's get back to the video. The girly pops were girly pissed. The day is August 21st, 2025. Summer is nearing its end. Twitter is starting to slowly realize that Zara Larsson is that girl. Also on this day, the very popular dress-up exploration game Infinity Nikki announces its very first collaboration with, you guessed it, Stardew Valley. And the crowd goes... Well, the only thing that immediately comes to mind is like, think like January 6th, but like entirely comprised of people who would shove the entire box set of Over the Garden Wall up their ass. Now you may be asking, why would people get mad? It's a cute game, it's a free update, like what's the problem? Right, that old thing. So, at the time of recording this, Infinity Nikki is currently under a lot of fire because it took the trust of its adoring fans and, what's a way I can say this tactfully? Have you ever seen No Country for Old Men?
What is that for?
Would you hold still, please, sir?
You see, a few months prior, in April 2025, Infinity Nikki released patch 1.5, a patch that they would go on to publicly apologize for. Lengthily. What you have to understand for this story is that Infinity Nikki was the it girl because it filled a very underserved niche, which is unapologetic femme girly pop Diana Dupree boots the house down RPGs. And patch 1.5 did a lot. But to keep it simple, they pulled a bait and switch on Steam wishlist rewards, introduced a metric ass ton of bugs, including some on paid with real money dresses, illegally put fake discount amounts on purchases, and essentially, with zero warning, retconned the entire story to the point of making all the previous progress pointless. So the game up to this point had cultivated an unprecedented amount of uwu girly pops. But here is the fatal flaw of that. You don't f with uwu girly pops. Full transparency, before I started making long-form YouTube videos, I started in TikTok 4 years prior. And in the past 5 years that I have been arguably ignorantly making the decision to express myself online, the most vile DMs I have ever received, without exception, have always come from people whose bio reads, spread kindness, rainbow emoji, sparkle heart. These people are passionate, to the point that they will forgo the very nature of what it means to be girly pop in order to tell you to meet the business end of a cliff if they deem you a bad person. They pushed back so hard that every single social media account of Infinity Nikki had the word boycott blacklisted in its interactions. Oh, but that did not stop them. What did the fandom do? Naturally, they switched to girlcott. God, I love women. So with all of this going down, unfortunately, Eric Barone, sweet Eric Barone, caught a stray from some understandably disgruntled fans. Most of it being like one-off comments that he was like a sellout or like falling off because he was working with this company after a really bad patch. To the point where he had to tweet, there have been a few collaborations between Stardew Valley and other games over the years. To be clear, I never receive any money from these collabs. I've only done them because I was a fan of the other games or because I genuinely thought the players would like it. Which then escalated to Vice making a super clickbaity article about how he was getting harassed by angry Infinity Nikki players. To which he then responded, "Gamer journalists, you don't have to write an article every time I tweet. This makes people think I'm making a big statement or fishing for good boy points when I am just making a small comment like I would say to a friend. I don't always want to be in PR mode. Thanks." Like, everyone just get off this poor dev's neck. He didn't even get paid. But this does lead us to the part of the video where I have to give a public apology to Eric Barone and the Infinity Nikki fandom because I'm part of the problem. You see, in January of 2025, a few months before that patch came out, mind you, I did have a video sponsored by Infinity Nikki. And let me tell you, future sponsors, cover your ears. This bad luck is incredibly not out of the ordinary for me, even before I made videos. You see, back when I was still in full-time pursuit of an operatic career, literally 4 different opera companies within a year of me working there either financially collapsed, had a huge scandal where everyone got fired, or they completely dissolved the position which I previously held. Now, could it be said that this is all coincidence and that it's actually more of a testament of the corruption of certain people that run companies? No, absolutely not. I am cursed. I inadvertently got Eric Barone hate online, and I will never know peace because of that. Don't mess with the girly pops because they'll beat your ass. Remember when my last video had Osama bin Laden in it and now we're talking about crochet? Full coverage, baby, full coverage. So the majority of this information comes from a video by the YouTuber Aspen in the Moment. I'm gonna give like an abridged non-crocheter perspective of this story, but if you want like a very detailed, very well-polished video, go watch that after finishing this video. It's in the description. So there is this content creator who goes by the name of Esley. Esley is a gamer who started dabbling in creating videos about her crochet projects based on video games that she liked. One of which being, you guessed it, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 2009 edition for the Xbox 360. Just kidding, it's Stardew Valley, but could you imagine if I did a video like this covering COD? Jesus, I feel like half the perpetrators are actually in prison. But particularly, a project of hers that blew was her Stardew Valley chicken and egg pillow. One of her videos on this pillow got over 3 million views on Instagram. 3 million? Wow, you could never! Shut up! And let me tell you something, the divas were hungry for this pillow. Particularly because of the color changes being square. So essentially, when crocheting, color changes, the change in color from one segment to the next typically lie flat and don't have an entire square shape, whereas the pillow design had a pixelated square in the color change. I'm not gonna lie, it took me like 5 watches to understand what was going on, and even then, I'm still not 100% sure I have it right. So a lot of people asked her how she got this design to be so square, and she told them that she uses the yarn under amigurumi stitch. But what she forgot to mention was that she was actually, this piece of paper is my literal lifeline right now, she was actually cross-stitching on top of the pillow fabric in order to achieve the color changes. I'm not trying to mock this, by the way, I just want to make it abundantly clear just how dumb boy brain I am about crafts. It is one of my biggest straight man qualities next to my visceral hatred of children's choirs. I don't give a shit that they're kids. I don't want to hear a group of 30 people singing only the melody. But anyway, in their YouTube video, Aspen actually did interview Esley and asked, did they mean to withhold this information or was this like a mistake? And Esley basically was like, oh, did I gatekeep? Yeah, 100% absolutely. I thought I made something new and I didn't want to share it. And listen, it's messy, but like I always say, everybody loves a diva until an actual diva walks in. And to her credit, I am no better than her. I'm sure the crafting community is much more open-minded about sharing techniques, but if I had thought that I had discovered a new video editing technique, there is no chance in hell that I would share that in a comment section, much less a TikTok one. I have a bit of decorum. But where this gets a little bit fuzzy is that she did start selling the pattern, which is totally fine. This happens all the time in the crochet community. It helps the other ones make it themselves instead of having to just buy the product. Except that customers only found out after purchasing the pattern that they had to use cross stitch as well. Yikes. But with a fandom as cozy as the crochet community, surely they had nothing but constructive criticism. It's a f***ing dirty switch. I'm beginning to feel like her whole account is a bit fake. The cross stitch is a little sloppy on it. But to their credit, she was allegedly deleting comments that mentioned it was cross stitch, so they do have a point. It also had a listing description so customers could know beforehand what they're getting into when they purchase this. But the problem was that it was missing a few key details. Like a materials list, the guide literally just says that you need yarn and tools galore. For my non-crocheters, think like you're ordering a cookbook online because the cake on the cover looks really good, but you want to make sure you have all the ingredients ready when you purchase the book just in case you can't get them somewhere. So you check the description and it says ingredients needed: cake. So it was later revealed that the guide was so vague because she did use AI to make it super quickly, which only further proves that AI does not fix everything. Suck it, Sam Altman. I always hated your creepy little soft focus eyes. So how does this resolve? Actually, pretty straightforward. She refunded everybody that requested, and then she changed the guide to make it more transparent and easy to follow. Yawn, am I right? Oh my gosh, where's the doxing? We'll get to that, don't worry. Honestly, if I put this any lower, I am setting myself up for zero forgiveness when I inevitably do something absolutely so stupid online. So the year is 2023, and I am not 100% convinced that we had fully overcome COVID brain yet. Because on June 21st of that year, a user by the name of JJDub uploads a mod for Stardew Valley entitled The Unhinged Mayo Expansion. I regret to inform you that it only gets weirder from here. We're only 2 sentences deep into this story, diva. So this mod allowed the player to drink mayonnaise, which at this point was not a possibility, seeing as the creator probably does not raw dog mayonnaise because he's pure and kind of heart. Oh my god, Blake, did you seriously make one of your main stories in this video a mod about drinking mayonnaise? Don't be stupid. Have you never read If You Give a Mouse a Cookie? Of course other modders were inspired by this. And of course those modders made a grouping of mayonnaise-related mods called the MCU. No, not that one. A much, much better one. God, I hate Marvel so f***ing much. This MCU stands for the Mayo Content Universe. I'll say it with my chest, foot connoisseur Tarantino could never recreate this. There's actually a video by Nino Keto where he plays through all of these mods, and I highly recommend watching it after finishing this one. But some of the highlights include Mayo Grandpa, Mayo Pool, Mayo House, a horse named Mayonnaise, Mayo Chickens, Mayo Mart, Mayo Lewis, Smash, Mayo Cutscenes, a literal Mayo cult, Mayo Poop, which causes the player to have a chance to poop mayonnaise at a set interval. You know how animals keep evolving into crabs? Like there's literally 5 complete separate evolutionary lineages that have landed on crab form. Animals to crabs are like video games to thinly veiled fetishes. You make a popular enough game, eventually it is going to happen without fail. But Mayo Poopies is not where it stops, far from it actually. Because on March 19th, 2024, Stardew Valley unveiled, or maybe unleashed is the better word, patch 1.6, whose patch notes contain the specific combination of words, "You can now drink mayonnaise." Surely this small update won't lead to the fandom doing anything. Yes, on April Fool's Day, not 2 weeks later, in the Stardew Valley subreddit, a mod by the name of Mayo Fairy, Branding Queen, announced the one-day event Mayo Monday, where members were encouraged to make mayonnaise, drink mayonnaise, alarm your friends and neighbors, post mayo. Honestly, who am I to judge? Change the word mayo to whole and you get 1 out of every 5 Grindr messages. But this did lead to some genuine mayonnaisical debauchery. Harvey disappointment roleplay, candid IRL mayo drinking photos, Sebastian and Alex enemies to lovers arc, anti-Alex mayo. F you, man. I wish. I'll be at the spa if you want to put your money where your mouth is, nerd. So I guess the moral of the story is that if you drink mayonnaise raw, you may or may not be a sociopath. It's not that I'm trying to yuck their yum, it's more so that I'm just trying to yuck like the principle of mayonnaise because it's ewy. Stardew Valley attempted to book talk too close to the sun. So Elliott is a romanceable character in Stardew Valley. You can date, get married, have kids in that order, and as you build your relationship with Elliott, you go through various cutscenes with him, like talking in his house, playing piano in his house. I cannot emphasize enough that Elliott was made for 30-year-olds. Like, if I like you, third date, movie in bed. I cannot be bothered in my limited free time to drive to a restaurant. But once you reach maximum hearts and you start dating, Elliott has a cutscene with you where he takes you on his boat, expresses his love, and then takes you in his arms and kisses you. And it's incredibly romantic, and it's a beautiful environment, and it's all you've ever wanted. And what was that dialogue option? So there's been an amount of discourse on this subject, not an amount that can be accurately described with the current metric system.
Who would fall for this guy? He made that advance anyway. Does he even think?
He just f***ing walked through one of my mayo machines on the dock and destroyed it. Wait a minute, is this another mayo person? Get the f*** out of here, wrong chapter. A non-negligible amount of people saw this as a lack of consent, especially in a game that prides itself on its open-mindedness and positive community. Until this video comes out, get exposed, nerd. And I will say, I think most people were kind of taking the piss out of the situation. Like, a lot of them were comparing it to the implication scene from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
They can't refuse because of the implication.
And I could absolutely be wrong, but I feel like most people that I saw that genuinely had a problem with it never actually talked to Elliott that much in the game. Like, they just saw that scene. Which, in all fairness, if you only saw that dialogue, sure, it is jarring. But you do have to remember that in order to get to this cutscene, you have to go through the arduous task of getting all the things that character likes, having a ton of cutscenes with them, buying a bouquet, announcing that you're dating, and in a TikTok, the user if then create makes a fantastic point. The exact same situation happens with Sebastian, but the only difference is you don't have a dialogue option to turn it down. And do not get me wrong, your partner is not entitled to even a handhold from you. Do not think that I am on the side of the median Barstool Sports enjoyer. And here's the part where I get a little bit video essay about it. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, totally willing to admit that. But I do have a theory. Elliott, to me, by how he's written, comes off as a character made for the book talk girls, gays, and theys. He's like Stardew Valley's version of Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3, which we'll get to. Like, he was accused of being gay in middle school, and that makes he, as an adult, hot to them. And book talk in particular is very into adult romantic fiction, or spicy books as they like to call them. And a very common theme in these books, from what I've heard, I don't read a lot, is the protagonist having full trust in the love interest and giving up control and letting them sweep them off their feet. And some people like to experience that fantasy in a very low stakes environment because it's not real. And to me, that is what Elliott is leaning into. The Fabio on the cover of the novel that takes you into his arms and kisses you because no words could express how into your gat he is. So in my head, that's why that second option is there. It's for the non-book talk girlies who do not want this and have a very obvious pull the lever crunk option. And at the risk of defending a boy, when you pick that option, he is adamantly apologetic and you can still marry him and do all the other things and he does not hold it over your head, bada bing, bada boom. And at the same time, these fantasy romance novel enjoyers can live in that fantasy where the stakes are low because at the end of the day, once again, it's pixels. I say it all the time, but in this situation, love wins. God, that was way too deep for a Blake Jennings video. I hated that. Anyway, continuing. I think after watching a few video essays, he'll be okay and understand and like get it, you know? But until then, hey Diva, maybe let's like not go on the boat. So on October 3rd, 2023, the game Baldur's Gate 3 was released to the chagrin of turbo nerds everywhere, and as it got more popular, casual nerds. And what is the difference between a casual nerd and a turbo nerd? Vitamin D deficiency. Moving on. So because of the astronomical levels of popularity achieved by the D&D style game, in March of 2024, a developer by the name of Jun created this new mod for Stardew Valley called Baldur's Village. And the mod sort of acts as like a pseudo-sequel to Baldur's Gate 3, where the gang all finishes their adventures in this land, and they continue on to this podunk village of 30 people that have no idea what a Dairy Queen is, and called this an Olive Garden soup salad breadsticks deal because when people got their hands on this mod, they ate it up. They love the extra stories, the pixel art for the characters are phenomenal, and the best part of it, in my opinion, and I'm calling it right now, the developer of this mod is a Blake Jennings watcher. I swear to God they are. Because as they were developing this mod, their priority of who to romance in this game was Astarion first, obviously, but the second place one was Large Hairy Bear Man. But I digress, people loved this mod, to the point where the literal CEO of Larian Studios, Sven Vinka, said, "Hell yeah, Diva, this rocks." Direct quote, by the way. And obviously Eric Barone wasn't gonna have an issue with this because it's pretty well known in the community at this point that he doesn't give a I literally use his music all the time because 1, it's good, 2, video game music is generally considered kind of safer to use for streaming purposes, and 3, he explicitly stated on Twitter that he is totally fine with people using his music. He is the coolest person. He is God's gift to video editing. But like the famous meme, 1 can consent, even 2 can consent. But isn't there somebody they forgot to ask? So D&D itself is owned by Wizards of the Coast, so essentially they do have a say in almost everything Baldur's Gate. Because while Larian Studios owns Baldur's Gate 3, Wizards of the Coast owns all the D&D mechanics. So in the same month of the mod being out, they receive a, sing it with me, DMCA. Yeah, they were told to shut it down before they financially shattered their kneecaps. So the mod itself was free, but they were accepting Patreon donations during this time, so I guess technically they were in the right or whatever, but also that's all the argument I have, but I think I made a good point. So there was uproar about this. The girlies were fighting, the girlies were fighting. Even Sven Vinka himself came to the defense of the mod and was like, dude, shut the up. And in frankly, camp levels of speed. Within hours of the DMCA being publicly announced, Wizards of the Coast was like, guys, come on. Like, we were just joshing. Like, what? A corporation can't just like josh around? Like, seriously. Seriously, we were just joshing. So it was revoked, and they claimed that it was done by mistake in the first place. So true, though. I hate when I forget to tie my shoes and I accidentally trip and send my mom a restraining order. Just kidding. I would never do that to Queen Donna. She'd win anyway. Like, the judge would love her way more than me. Definitely not as bad of a situation as Infinity Nikki, but also, once you get that bear to be romanceable, you're going to heaven, baby. You're off this scale. So in the Stardew Valley modding / speedrunning community, yes, we are min-maxing the cozy go at your own pace game. Honestly, I can't even blame them. In my game, if I don't get strawberries in the first spring, it's best to just sedate me before I'm not allowed to be on public transit anymore. So in the community, a YouTuber by the name of Blade challenged himself to what was previously thought to be impossible. Can I max out my combat skill in a single in-game day? And it turns out the answer is yes. And as I say that, the monkey's paw lowers a finger. So in Stardew Valley, you can have kids, and they kind of just show up and then they're just there. They don't really do anything. They grow up a little bit, but then they stop. They're basically a chia pet, but if you decide that owning a chia pet is much too much responsibility, you can go to the Shrine of Selfishness. Feels a little tradwipe to call it that, but I digress. And if you give it an offering, it turns your children into doves, and you are no longer at risk of accidentally forming a children's choir.
Thank God.
But after you do this, every time you enter the shrine, there's an ancient doll there now that represents your child haunting you, which you can kill. So while trying to figure out this max combat in one day thing, he received a comment on a previous video. What if you just abandoned a shitload of kids and killed the ancient dolls? Do they give XP? I think we both know the answer to that.
22 XP each.
And it worked! You could go in and out of the shrine, repeatedly commit atrocities, and then boom, your max combat. Story's done. But being the curious little guy that Blade is, he did make a few minor adjustments.
We have dubbed 10,000 kids and every time we visit the witch's hut.
10,000 children were abandoned. 10,000 children. So close to Elon's record. I know he was nervous. Now, admittedly, this is a lot to take in, but there is a redeeming quality to this story. Blade, while looking at his previous video, accidentally revealed that he had a Pentatonics music video in his YouTube suggestions that he'd already watched. And why is that a redeeming quality? Because me too, girl, I see you. That concert was rad as hell. I would put it lower if the idea of it didn't make me chuckle every time I thought about it. So Pierre is one of the first people in the game that you meet when you start Stardew Valley. He sells your seeds, your backpack expansions, your bouquets for love. But between you and me, don't listen. Half the people watching this video probably hate Pierre. He has so many ops. Which leads us to the Pierre subreddit with 107,000 members. But think of an insult for somebody, just any insult. It's in that subreddit. This crew has systematically, painstakingly broken down every single minute fault that this man has. And as it turns out, there's a lot of them. And in my day-to-day and real life, I try to be like a very spread kindness, like positive person, etc., etc. But when it comes to fictional characters, I am a messy, gossipy, petty bitch. So let's get started. So when you're first playing the game, you feel like you should back him up because it's like supporting a small business and beating the big bad corporation that is JojaMart. But as you go through more of his dialogue, you find out he's no better than them. Like there's a quest where you get him a bunch of crops and then he, in front of your face, tries to sell them at a 10 times markup price. Then when they inevitably do not sell, he tries to sell the same crops back to you at a gold higher than how he bought them. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. A YouTuber by the name of Mossy figured out that 35 out of the 42 interactions you have with Pierre are about him making more money. Also in a cutscene, it's revealed that he tries to keep something in a secret stash that he begs you to not tell his family about. Yeah, girl, it's my secret supply of matcha and tampons, so my queen never wants for anything, is what I would say if it wasn't definitely. And when you complete the community center and triumph over JojaMart, Pierre, a trained boxer, publicly beats the manager's ass. This man said, try that in a small town. He also has a church in his house, which doesn't really pertain to anything, but it's weird, right? And arguably his one redeeming quality is his daughter, Abigail, the holy grail of sapphic cozy gamers. But he's awful to her too. Lesbians, we ride at dawn. During her 6-heart event, you meet Abigail in the middle of the night in a graveyard while she's practicing her sword, and then Pierre just like barges in and says, this is no place for a young lady. And all I have to say to that is, how very dare you? Goth sword enthusiast bisexuals are the backbone of our economy. They are the one thing that is helping us fight back on trickle-down economics. You hear that, Reagan? It didn't work. But I guess in his defense, it doesn't actually matter because Abigail is not even his daughter. It is heavily implied in the game that the wizard is actually Abigail's real father. They both even have purple hair, which Abigail does not dye, mind you. She is bisexual to her very core. And to Pierre's credit, he does provide one thing. We finally know what the purpose is of the obligatory hotel room cuck chair. But all of this that I just said, tip of the iceberg in this subreddit, okay? Someone made their entire farm a shrine to his only competitor, Joja. There is a mod to take his wife from him and marry her, of which there are fan edits. There is screenshot after screenshot of Pierre taking a fat f***ing L at the fair when you beat his display. And worst of all, it is discovered that Pierre loves when you give him 1,000 gold in a bag. Oh dear God, I'm Pierre. Have fun praying in that altar in your house, buddy. Hope it gets you somewhere. Oops, it's hell. Now, before we get to our last one, and I'm sure we are both aware that a very obvious spot is missing, I wanted to address a few of the stories that were brought to my attention that didn't feel like they warranted a full story, but are still kind of funny anyway. So we're gonna do our lightning round. 1. Abigail's guinea pig. Basically, someone on Reddit realized that Abby was keeping a guinea pig in a cage by itself, and it had a running wheel, both of which big no-nos for guinea pigs. They like being with people, and it's like bad for their back if you run on a wheel. And I'm pretty sure they got like dogpiled by the community for this, for being like a little bit too sensitive about this stuff. And this is going not on the scale. Word of advice, never engage with pet content online. No matter how good you are to your pet, if you film it and put it on social media, guaranteed somebody in the comments will go for your neck. Next, Clint the incel. So Clint's considered like a pretty awkward guy. He has a crush on Emily in the game, and he like hides in bushes because he's too shy to talk to her, which in a game, cute, whatever, he's quirky, he's different. In real life, call the cops. And Clint is an ongoing war in the Stardew Valley community, so I am going to play it very Switzerland about this. Middle of the road. I may be boring, but one thing I am not is canceled. Next, Penny's Too Hard event. So during Penny's Too Hard cutscene, there's a moment where she takes George, who is like the character in town who's in a wheelchair, and pushes him out of the way in an attempt to help him, but she like didn't ask. And to be fair, that's not okay. Like, you definitely should never do that in real life. Please, please do not ever do that in real life. But I will also say it was a very mild push, and they like resolved it immediately. And also the way it was described to anybody who hadn't seen it made it kind of look like this. So as a lesson, I'm gonna put it pretty low. The situation itself was like not great, but also the disproportionate reaction to it was kind of comedic. Next, the human plant mod. There is a mod in the game where you can take people, grind them up, turn them into seeds, and then plant the villagers. And right there. What? It's fall. Perfect time for a comedic body horror. Grow up. Next, the Robin romance mod. Not much to say here. It's literally just adultery. Love wins, but not in the way you'd prefer. I just feel like there's plenty of fish in the sea and y'all are getting real damn greedy. Next, the Stardew Valley Festival of Seasons. Basically, there's just like been reports that crowds have been really, really rowdy at these concerts and they just don't understand concert etiquette. I'm gonna put that right here. Obviously, I hate bad concert etiquette, but at the same time, it's a Stardew Valley event with a room full of Stardew Valley players. Stim City, baby. Next, fucking pronouns. Pronouns! Basically, a bunch of players were requesting that Eric Barone put pronouns into Stardew Valley. And what happens in the 2020s when you mention the word pronouns online? You guessed it, the roaches come out. I hate people that can't mind their own business. Next, Eric Barone's computer setup. Basically, when Stardew Valley was made, Eric Barone made it all on this setup. But you have to remember the cardinal rule of a developer. The worse the computer setup, the better the developer. Because let me tell you, I do have a computer science degree as well, and this is my current computer setup. And I am a terrible developer. Right up there. If anything, this is just iconic, sorry. And finally, this message I received in my post about making this video. The war crime being Elliott wouldn't marry me even though I am so nice to him. Sorry, buddy. Hi, Editor Blake here. I did forget to mention one small war crime during the lightning round, which is that Eric Barone is such a beautiful human and is not dating me. It's probably for the best that I didn't put that in there because I don't think there was a hell low enough on the board. But anyway, carrying on. Unfortunately, for once, I do believe it is that deep. So there is a YouTuber by the name of Juniper Dev, who about a year ago made a video called The Rise and Fall of Stardew Valley's Economy. Again, highly recommend it, link in description after this video is done. So Stardew Valley uses gold as its currency, and it's generally considered pretty accurate to equate 1 gold to 1 penny. And that seems to add up because that would make the backpack $20, a pack of strawberry seeds $1, the minimum wage 5 cents an hour. Wait, run that back? You're telling me that my in-game husband, Shane, yes, I picked Shane, I do not respect myself, I think I made that perfectly clear, is making 5 cents an hour? Ugh. Alexa, play TLC's No Scrubs. So Juniper, in her video, started digging more into this. She pulled Lady Gaga. She looked for evidence. That is 2 January 6th references in a single Stardew Valley video. I dare say it's never been done before, but Juniper discovered that there are some disproportionate dollar differentials, Diva. Robin constructs entire buildings for you for like $1 a day. Pierre almost exclusively sells seeds at his shop, even though there's only one farmer, the player who just moved there. And given Stardew's audience, that player is probably a bisexual with ADHD during an Adderall shortage. Do you honestly believe they are consistently going to that shop? I sure the think not. So Juniper discovered that this can only be explained by one thing: the war. Did somebody say war? George Bush. So in the Stardew Valley lore, there's a war currently happening between the Ferngill Republic, which is where our farm is located, and the Gatoro Empire, which, let me tell you, after the first flower dance where nobody wants to dance with you, my petty ass was like, go Gatoro. I was prepared to be Stardew Valley's WikiLeaks. We mostly find out about this because of the dialogue with Kent, who is a character that returns later in the game after being a prisoner of war. In hindsight, my problems with the flower dance might not have been that big of a deal. But it would explain why the prices of goods in Stardew Valley relative to the minimum wage is astronomical, because during war, import prices go up. So what is being done in the game to help aid with this frankly unsustainable economic situation? Nothing. Nothing! Mayor Lewis literally does nothing. He is never in his office. He has run uncontested for decades. He convinces the governor every time he visits that this town is a utopia. Meanwhile, it has boulders blocking major pathways, a royally community center, and an unreliable transit because the town drunk, diva she may be, is the driver. I don't care that she looks like if Hillary Clinton had more gay friends. I want bus, not crash. And he doesn't even tax you, the farmer, the arguably richest person in the town by month 3. So at the end of her video, Juniper theorized that Mayor Lewis is on a decades-long ass-covering tirade. He is lying to preserve the image of Pelican Town, meanwhile relying on you, the player, to pick up the slack. And honestly, I love this theory. I would definitely roll with this. She did a fantastic job. But there's also a counter theory that's equally pretty fun if you check the top comment in that video. Can't believe you didn't mention Lewis's gold statue. The mayor in the game does in fact have a hidden gold statue. It is hidden on his premise, and if you leave it out in the open, you are not so subtly bribed to never do so again. And again, all of this is happening while wages are unlivable in his town. That bastard's not preserving shit. He's embezzling wartime government aid in order to build a golden f***ing statue of himself. Sound familiar? He is literally a war criminal, although now that I think about it, that does sound kind of profitable. Mayor Lewis, if you need a Melania, I am working on my Slavic stare. Rot, Mayor Lewis. Sorry, this guy's definitely worse, but at the same time, like, I had to have the last person be at the very bottom. Like, it just makes sense, you know? And thus concludes our video on the war crimes of the Stardew Valley community. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. I also stream on Twitch and YouTube Live, so please go check that out. I also have a podcast, so if you want to hear me yap even more, then there you go. It's once a week, every Monday, diva. Also, let me know in the comments, 1, if you want to see more of this, and 2, what you'd want to see. I'm thinking something like Pokemon or Kingdom Hearts. I feel like both have fandoms that are super wholesome, but also absolutely barbaric. And finally, of course, what have we learned from this video? I feel like the moral is if you play Stardew Valley, then don't tell me about it, because I do not want to be complicit and go to jail.